I try my best for periods. It would process through time. One such as the ever maze. What a twisted page it leaves me walking over the most grays, timid with a folly. I tiptoe with coy. PTSD from days of fearing the greys. They cry in the silence, catching my pilot. It's automatic, and so I'm static. Once bitten, twice shy. Sometimes I ponder, could there be an hat-trick? Unlike a rabbit, disappear with a hat. Once I sigh, knowing I could never get it back. Hello everyone, welcome back to Poetry Journal Podcast. I am your host, Alex Murder. And what you just heard there was the quote we're going to do for today. I just want to get into it. A lot to unpack with this one. So for the second time, I try my best for periods. It would process through time. One such as the ever maze. What a twisted page. It leaves me walking over the most grays, timid with a folly. I tiptoe with coy. PTSD from days of fear in the grays. They cry in the silence, catching my pilot. It's automatic, and so I'm static. Once bitten, twice shy. Sometimes I ponder, could there be an hat trick? Unlike the rabbit, disappear without a hat. Once I sigh, knowing I could never get it back. And so with this one, I want to start the unpacking with questions, things to ponder on. Do you tiptoe through life? It's one thing I would ask. Or do you embrace all of you, including the darker side? I know we all have the potential to be a savage sometimes. If only in the mind, speaking to the mentality. Dog eat world, that quote, that expression exists for a reason. What's your form of PTSD? What keeps you on your toes? What keeps you guessing? Keeps you scared? Second guessing to let anybody in? Do you struggle with your past? Have you ever been done wrong? Like where it impacts you significantly? Or in pertaining to that, have you ever been done wrong to that extent multiple times? These are some of the thoughts that comes to mind. Things to ponder when it comes to this quote. I feel these are factors worth contemplating, to speak about, to speak on. They facilitate, I believe, bewilderment. Bewilderment that leads to that dark affliction, that cold spark in the eyes that you can't hide. It's almost like that person, that killer that walks into the room. You know that there's a certain thing about somebody that's murdered. I don't know for sure, but it's been spoken about. When they say there's a certain situation or a certain look about somebody when they've done something dark or perhaps committed a murder, where it's almost like There's a darkness in the eyes, cold embrace, perhaps, for like relating to like maybe a serial killer or something like that. And so, not necessarily speaking from the factual part of it, just the idea of it. And so I think this is more where I'm looking towards when I speak about specifically what I'm speaking about, because I believe it speaks to the insanity that exists, so to speak, in your DNA, which brings me to the unpacking of the quote. And I hope I didn't go off too far on my rant, but I was feeling this one. Why is this quote relevant? It speaks to the moment when you think in a way you're cured, or you're better, or I'm glad that's over. Whatever it is. For example, like somebody, when it comes to being anxious or anxiety, and you feel, thankfully I'd never feel that again. Thus, in a way, you end up showing symptoms of the very things you thought. Well, basically, that's the situation, and you feel like you never feel that again, and you're glad and you also hope that you never would experience that situation again. However, in a way, you sort of end up back in that same situation, so you end up showing symptoms of the very things that you thought you have been cured of. As a result, like an unwritten cycle, you ended up reverting back to doing the same things you keep that you tried to process to keep your stability, so to speak, to help keep you sane. I say this is what I say all this to say, I'm never sane. We all have, in some way, lived with a dark affliction, in a sense. Kind of like PTSD. You grow to live with it. And it's not something you choose. It's pretty much kind of like who you are. Darkness blooms. In a way, certain people relate to the darker side than the opposing better side of their personality. However, even in this situation, one cannot exist without the other. So, I guess there have to be a sense of balance, and that speaks to the processing of stability. It's important that they're both embraced, I believe. As in both sides of who we are. Next segment. And I hope everyone understood where I was coming from. And I'll just go into the next segment with the next quote. The moments appear irreversible. Once they appear, then disintegrate, dispersible. They make the sense shake, the eyes tremble. Those were the days taken, so much so, shaken, earthquaking, in my mind's eyes. So please, no light, lead me away from prying eyes, from lies and surprise. My serenade can only take the shade. If I could sum this up in so many words, I would say the limelight makes me tired. Speaking of myself. And what does that mean? I think it's just more of an expression of just like sometimes our situation, you know, you get tired of being tired, in a sense, of just going through things, or sometimes just life, and whatever your situation is, whatever you have going on, that's always getting to you, and you know, it's almost like it involves you fighting through it to process through it. I guess the question would be, does it do the same for you? I feel this piece speaks to the symptoms of the dark affliction in which I am making the epicenter of this episode. I like to think of it as the result of your experiences, your PTSD, so to speak, your chaos that you try time and time again to swallow. Although, like anxiety, it's a thought that plays. It's intermittent, but impactful. So much so that it reverberates and it leaves a mark. It leaves a mark. And I just felt like that was very important to have a discussion about. So I hope everyone appreciate where I was coming from with this episode. But as always, I appreciate everyone for supporting what I'm doing, and as always, there's a poetry journal out now that's on Amazon, and you can find me on at Poetry Journal Instagram. That's a PO3TRYJOURNAL. But more importantly, my Into the Abyss story, volume 3, short story, is out now. So this is the 3rd volume, and I'm really excited about this volume. I've you know, this is like my first story that I've ever created, so well, it's still the same story, but this is the 3rd volume, so you know, I'm still in two minds on if I'm gonna do more of it, but it's positive. It's come across positives thus far with how people have taken the story, the first 2 volumes, and I hope they do the same with this one. But if you wanna read about it, just check it out. It's available on Kindle. It's available in ebook form, and you can find it on Kindle, Amazon. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and pleased with everything as it pertains to how that's going right now. So so that's basically what I'm working on right now, and yeah, it's been really positive. Also, I forgot to mention that for Poetry Journal, the paperbacks, Poetry Journal Growing Pains, which is the second volume of Poetry Journal, my poetry book. You can find it on Amazon as PO3TRYJOURNAL, Growing Pains. And I was gonna say, there's author copies available, so if you want anything from me, just reach out, and yeah, I'll be sure to send one to your location through address if you message me and just inquire or whatever. Yeah, all works. So, but as always, thanks for everyone for listening and appreciating what I do. Much love for the listeners. Alright, until next time. And P.S. I will be having a new episode with guests coming soon. Just organizing, and I'll keep everyone posted. Alright. Take care. Until next time.